all love a good Cinderella story. Everyone loves a good underdog story. And I actually wanted to talk about a couple of my favorite underdog stories. And because recently marked 10 years since Lynn's sanity happened in the NBA. Since Jeremy Lin took the NBA by storm, right? A decade ago, Jeremy Lin came in for the New York Knicks and basically saved their season. Like, he came in against the Nets, Brooklyn Nets, I believe they were, they were Brooklyn still at the time, I believe, or New Jersey. I can't remember. I'm sorry. But he came in against the Nets, led the Knicks to a victory, and then went on a crazy 10, 12 game stretch, something like that. And it's just a good underdog story. I think we all can enjoy and love underdogs and Cinderella stories that just come out of nowhere. Like Jeremy Lin, that story was phenomenal. And he really helped the Knicks at least save their season to make the playoffs. And I look at the upcoming basketball tournament, the college March Madness tournament, because it's always a great underdog story. There's always upsets. There's always a team there's always bracket busters is what you call them, right? A UMBC beats Virginia in the first round. Was it Virginia? Yeah, first round of the tournament. 16, first ever to beat number 1. Years ago, I attended Florida Gulf Coast University. Years ago. But the story of Dunk City came alive through that university. If people don't remember, FGCU was the very first 15 seed to ever make it to the Sweet 16. The very first. No team had ever done that at the 15 seed. It took beating Georgetown. It took beating San Diego State to make it to the Sweet 16. It was such a big time for the university too, and I love talking about this story. Because actually before that tournament even happened, I had went to, I think it was our very first game of the season, our very first home game rather, where FGCU took on the University of Miami in basketball. Now Miami, a decent basketball team in the ACC, was expected to come into our stadium and beat us. Now, granted, our stadium is tiny. It wasn't that big. I don't think it still is even that big. I really haven't been back since. And if you could feel the electricity in the air with that team. And I remember going to this, and we sat front row. My friends and I sat front row of kind of behind the one of the nets, one behind the back of the front row seats for that game. And it was starting to happen. I think a lot of people were going to that game thinking, again, they're not going to win. They're not going to beat Miami. Miami's going to come in here and beat us. And early, it actually did start out like that. Where Miami, I think, I'm pretty sure they were ahead early, but we called the timeout, and we got right back into it. Halftime, we were winning. You're thinking, oh my gosh, how long can this last, right? Like an underdog, when a team is trying to pull off an upset and they're up at halftime, you just wonder how long that energy can be sustained, especially if it's your team that you're watching. If you're playing, you're thinking, we can do this all day. Now, if you're a fan, a lot of times you're thinking, it's halftime, they make adjustments and that's going to be it, and we're not going to be able to hold on. A lot of times you think that, sometimes you don't. If you're playing Alabama and you're Citadel, you're tied 10-10 at halftime, right? You don't think that you're going to actually really beat Alabama, especially if you're the fan base of the Citadel. But you go into halftime, players thinking, yeah, fans thinking, we don't know. And then FGCU comes out and finishes the job against the University of Miami on their home court. We rushed the court, and it really was the beginning of an unbelievable season. We went on a great run. We won our conference tournament. We made the tournament. And then we made it to the Sweet 16. I remember at the time I worked at Dick's Sporting Goods, and I talked to my coworkers and one of my manager, and he was asking about the team. He said, they're pretty good. I was like, yeah, I know. I was at when they beat Miami. They're a good team. I'm not. Was I surprised to see us get past Georgetown? Yeah, because Georgetown was number 2. But was I surprised to see the domination? Oh, yeah. FGCU dominated Georgetown, and they dominated San Diego State. And early against Florida in the Sweet 16, they were dominating them. But the breaks and the fire that was lit from that team slowly fizzled, flamed out. But what that did for the university, it put our school on the map. Like I did not live on campus. I lived off campus. I always drove. I could get to campus 5 minutes before my class starts, find a spot, and walk right to class, no problem. After that tournament, I had to get there at least 20 minutes early to go find a spot. It was tough. But I love underdog stories. I guess unless it's against my team. Like, I don't want you guys beating our team. But I love the idea of an underdog story, and I love the idea of no one thinking we can do this, and we go and prove everybody wrong. And I remember the head coach, Andy Enfield, who now coaches for USC, was telling the team, he said, I told the guys, when you go on that court, you're going to realize they're just like you. Don't look at their name. Don't look at who they are. Just go play your game. You're going to realize they're just like you. And that was like, wow, it's such a good mindset to tell your players that sometimes they don't realize that, hey, they put their pants on, they put their clothes on, their shoes on, just like you. Go out there and play football, and go out there and play basketball, go out there and play baseball, go out there and play hockey, tennis, golf, boxing, rugby, I don't know, I'm just naming off all these sports. Just go do it, and go prove people wrong at the end of the day.